Debbie.
Hey.
It's nice to meet you.
Yep.
My name is Tiffany, and basically I am the worker that's been assigned to kind of work with you, and I know that there's a lot of things going on right now with your child, and so I kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what my piece is and helping you work with your family. Basically, the program is meant to be about 30 to 90 days long, and that basically we just kind of talk a little bit about, we'll spend a little time later on today talking a little bit about what's kind of going on and what kind of a situation is that kind of brought you here today, and we'll kind of be able to kind of do some brainstorming together on, trying to help you kind of figure out how to maybe I don't know, just work with your child and figure out some other solutions. Maybe things aren't going so well right now. So, in kind of in my role, I know next time we'll probably talk more about this, but we'll talk a little bit about some of the history and as far as, with your child, developmentally, and kind of if you have any concerns as far as the different agencies. I know you've been working with a couple of people from the school. I know that you've had some frustrations with them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And so we'll kind of talk a little bit about how we can kind of work together to maybe better coordinate and communicate, work together as a team.
I wish you could just go to the school for me. I'm so irritated with that school secretary. I'm just about to pull my kids out of school.
What are some things that are kind of frustrating with you about her?
Well, the way she looks at me, the way she talks to me, she always assumes I'm just going to be dragging my kids, and I love my kids. I want to take good care of them, but then I get into that building and everybody's mean and they're discriminating against me, and something happens and I just turn into this other kind of person.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about what is kind of going on right now with your child, and so I can have a better understanding of what the situation kind of looks like.
Well, the teacher called me because my son was kind of bullying kids at recess. They're 9 years old. He sees us at home, and we don't really argue, but sometimes we raise our voices with each other, and they thought that he was bullying another child at school, and he didn't agree with that, and so he stood up for himself, which we've taught him to do because we want him to be assertive, and now they think that he is intimidating to the other kids in school, and he needs to have some behavior management or something, or maybe they need to check us out, and it just doesn't seem fair.
Right, yeah. What when you say bullying, can you maybe describe to me what the school is saying? That what?
I wish I could tell you. That's why I want you go there for me, because I don't know.
Okay.
They told me he was bullying, and I just kind of tuned him out.
Okay. Has he had suspensions or anything like that? Or have they conferenced with you at all to kind of explain different situations that happen with students at the school?
They called me in, and it sounded like they were threatening to suspend him, but they haven't done that yet. I'll just pull him. I don't really care. I'll just take him out of school. I'll send him to another school.
Okay. Well, I know that I can sense that you are very frustrated with the school, and I know that that a child has to go to school. So that's why I'm glad that you're willing to come in today to talk with me about this, because I would really like to help you in communicating with the school better, to see if there's a better resolution. And as far as I know that you said that you talk to your child a lot about speaking up for himself and that kind of thing. What are some ways what are some examples that maybe you kind of talk to your child about as far as what to do when he's faced with another child that's not agreeing with him? What are some things that you kind of have explained to him to do in order to talk to that child, or try to work things out, or have you talked to him?
Well, I tell him he needs to take turns.
Okay.
But if somebody's telling him he can't have a turn on the slide, I pretty much tell him to stand up for himself. So
What does that look like? Standing up for himself. I mean, like to be like you. Can you give me an example?
I don't know. I don't think really like pushing the kid out of the way, but pretty much telling him, you know, you go somewhere else because it's my turn on this slide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he needs to be able to stand up for himself, and he needs to not be discriminated against at school.
Sure, I understand that.
So we've just told him to kind of verbally tell other people how he's feeling. Sometimes he gets a little aggressive physically, and we talk about that sometimes.
How do you feel about that? As far as him, you said sometimes he gets a little bit physically aggressive. What's your take on that? Like how do you feel he handles that?
I don't know. I was a little embarrassed, I guess. The other kid, banged his nose against the ground because he pushed him off the swing, and I didn't feel too great about that. But I also felt like my son had the right to have a turn, and he wasn't getting a turn, so he pushed the kid.
Sure. That makes sense. I understand how is he, at home, how is he with, as far as, like, following directions with you, you guys?
Pretty good. It kind of annoys the crap out of me. He comes home from school and he throws his backpack on the floor, and I got to constantly be telling him to put his backpack in his bedroom. And we have this dog, and the dog, he actually does pretty well with the dog. They'll go outside and they'll play together, and sometimes he'll walk the dog around the block for me, and he plays pretty well with the dog. Otherwise, he doesn't. Sometimes we yell at each other, and he doesn't really have to do a whole lot else at home. Sometimes we have trouble going to bed at nighttime.
Okay. Do you have like a kind of a routine for bedtime, or what's the usual bedtime look like?
Well, usually he's wild, so he's pretty crazy until he just kind of falls asleep. Sometimes he falls asleep right here on the couch, and then I move him into his bed or something.
And how, and I know that you talked a little bit about, like he comes home and sometimes he doesn't put his backpack away, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any chores that he typically does to help you guys out with? Or, what is your house, can you maybe explain, like, what your household kind of looks like? As far as routine and cleaning up, and that kind of thing, like the chores and who does what?
Well, I usually cook dinner, and he doesn't have any jobs he has to do, but I expect him to do what I ask him to do. So sometimes, like I said, I'll ask him to go walk the dog or feed the dog, or I don't really ask him to do much in his room. You should see his room. It's a disaster. I don't know. We all just kind of pitch in and get things done.
Sure. Well, it sounds like it works, so that's really nice. So it's good.
Yeah.
What does your husband think about, what's going on at school? Has he talked to you at all about?
Well, he's worse than I am because he really wants Dylan to stand up for himself. He's a hunter. He's a guy, he's a guy, and he's raising a boy. So he wants his boy to be a man. He don't want some sissy kid. So that's kind of how he feels. Okay.
I know that your husband's not here today. Do you think that he would maybe in the future want to be a part of our meetings? Or, what is his, I know that he works, so I don't know if he might be able to.
Well, I don't know. He might, because if the school's going to kick him out, then I guess my husband would be concerned. But he doesn't really get into this talking stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's okay. Well, if he's, able to and maybe wants to, maybe tonight or something when you see him, you can talk to him a little bit about our meeting today.
Mm-hmm.
As far as usually when in the program, usually together we'll make some goals, some things that we would like to see change, and that way we can talk about maybe how to go about that, kind of brainstorming some ideas together. And I know the biggest problem right now is school, and how it seems like how he's doing, with what the school is thinking, and maybe we can come to some kind of agreement, that everyone's happy, about how his behaviors are at school. Because obviously, I know that the school will kick him out, if he doesn't live up to their standards. And so maybe we could figure out a better way to approach it together. So I don't know.
Are you going to talk to the school with me?
Yeah, that would be. I would want to communicate together as a team.
Okay.
I don't want to ever go behind your back, or I want to be very open, and so that we can really find a solution together. So, what are in your mind? What's the biggest thing that you think might be the biggest problem at this moment? What do you think would be the biggest thing to change, or
Well, we don't really want him to get kicked out of school, so I guess if I'm not going to change the school, then I need to change the kid. So we need to do something about his aggression at school.
Okay. Does he have like an IEP or anything like that, or any kind of behavior plan? Okay. Well, I think maybe at this point, it kind of sounds like we need to kind of get on the same page at the school, and figure out what some of their expectations are and what some of their thoughts are, and that's going to help us kind of figure out where we need to start. So would you be open at this point to maybe setting up a meeting together with the school and at least starting by hearing what they have to say about it, and then that way we can know what direction to go?
Yeah, I just got to warn you that sometimes I lose my cool when I'm there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I might just have to sit there and you might have to talk.
Okay. Well, we'll do what we need to do, to kind of keep the peace at the meeting. I know that, if you have to get up and walk out for a minute, that's okay. That's great that you can kind of identify, that might be a potential possibility. But that's not a problem. We'll find a way to peacefully kind of work through it, and we're not going to leave you out on it. Obviously, that's why I'm here, and I know that's why you're here, because you want to do something to change the situation. Because I know that neither one of us want your son kicked out of school. So, okay. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today, and I look forward to our next meeting, and I will give you a call after we set up something for the school. So.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye.